Luxembourg. I'd been told it's the real richest country on earth, home to Europe's most beautiful view, and the only place in the world where public transport is completely free nationwide. Honestly, so far, everything that I've seen in the city is just so beautiful. Hey there, I'm David G, your favorite travel YouTuber, and this is the very beginning of an epic 2-month journey I'm taking around the world with my wife, Rasa. But it all started right here in the heart of Western Europe. Join me in this video as I visit the small Western European country of Luxembourg. But although Luxembourg does lie along this river, the Mosel River, right now I'm in the neighboring German city of Trier. So let's head to the train station over here in Trier and hop on a regional train that will take us to Luxembourg City. But after spending the afternoon here in Trier yesterday, I know for sure that this is a very nice place to walk around in. And I did start my morning over on this river walk, but now I'm headed in to the old town with my wife Rasa, who you see in front of me, and we'll just have a nice little walk through to get over to the main train station here in Trier. And although September has just begun, there are still some flowers in bloom here, and everything's looking quite nice. Only partially cloudy today, and as I'm exiting the kind of waterfront, riverfront area, it's just the beginning of the old town here, but you can see there's lots of places all around where people would love to sit and have a glass of wine, a beer, or a coffee. Probably any time of the year, but especially during the summer. But then again, it is only like 10:30 a.m. So, probably a little bit too early for anything besides a coffee for most. You can see people really like to bike over here in this part of Germany. And of course, today we are headed over to Luxembourg City. But the city of Trier has a lot of interesting stuff in its own right. I mean, it's definitely a really pretty place to walk around in. There's lots of green spaces and a kind of mix of more modern architecture and very, very old stuff. In fact, this is the absolute oldest city in all of Germany. Trier was founded by the Romans over 2,000 years ago, and although the current population hovers just over 100,000, back in the day, it was actually the biggest city in Northern Europe. Right in front of me there, you see a little bit of the Porta Nigra. If you speak any Romance language, you probably already know, but in Latin, Porta Nigra would translate to black gate or black door, literally. And if I had a little more time, I might actually go up in there where you see the people waving from, but you can see it basically is black. It definitely is a gate, but it's actually made out of sandstone. Sandstone is not black. But as the story goes, Romans built this out of sandstone. They didn't clean it very well. Later, didn't exactly forget that it was made out of sandstone, but saw that it was black and decided to start calling it Porta Nigra. And you can actually go up in there and get some nice views of the city. But right now, I just don't have time. My train is coming soon. If I remember right, the entrance was about €6. And all around it, especially going that way, this is really the heart of the old town over here in Trier. And going this way, you get to the main train station. Looks like it's trash day here in Trier though. But beyond the trash, well, actually it's just recycling now. I'm taking a look. There's just plastic here and that's paper. You can see that hill up in front of me just popping out just a little bit. You can see they're growing grapes because all along the Mosel River in this part of Germany and also in Luxembourg and in France as it goes down into France, wine grape cultivation is a big thing. Almost to the train station now. Can't figure out how to click this one. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's under. Usually it's just like this. Drücken. Nein, Ersatzverkehr. But, of course, I'm in Germany. The train is not running today. Instead, there's a replacement bus due to Bauarbeiten or construction work. Very common theme in this country. But somewhere up here, there's a replacement bus that's actually running twice an hour. The train only runs once an hour. So that should work out okay. It's about 1 hour to Luxembourg. Jawohl. Ersatzhaltestelle. Honestly, in my experience, this is a bit of an unavoidable thing in Germany. There was just very, very frequent work on the trains all over the country here. And when there's a replacement bus, which is usually what they set up so that people can still get where they're going, that is, of course, unless there's a strike, but that's a different story. Then replacement bus in German is Ersatzstelle, and you just gotta look for like one of these H's. Haltestelle is what that means. But although this one does look quite makeshift, it's got like one of these live schedules, so for sure, the 12:40 bus to Luxembourg in just 24 minutes. So maybe kind of a weird place to put a replacement stop, but they do have free blackberries. Boy, that one's not very ripe. This one, okay, it's not very ripe either. It's actually kind of sweet though. Really need to get into one back there. Free snacks. So in Germany, you get free blackberries at the bus stop. But you know what else is free? In Luxembourg, all of their public transport is now for free. But soon enough, the doors got opened and, well, this is the Luxembourg Express bus. And off we go. The bus is mostly empty, to be honest. And I was really hoping to take that train because it should have some pretty nice views, but can't take a train that's not running. In just 1 hour, I'll be over in Luxembourg City. And right here is actually the place where I started off my morning, walking along the Moselle River. And right now we're driving over a beautiful old Roman bridge. It's of course got a few modifications like pavement. And maybe with any luck it's gonna be still a pretty ride along in the bus. But just down that way, going down the river about 40 kilometers, you reach Luxembourg City. But of course, one negative to being on a bus is that you don't get to skip traffic like you do on a train. At just about 15 minutes into the ride, we have already crossed the border to Luxembourg. You can see magically all the signs have changed from German to French. And the bus route does not go along the river, but there are really beautiful views on this route. I'm really not sure if I'm lucky getting these views or if I'm missing some even better views on the train, but the only way to find out is to come back and visit once they get the train back up and running and see for myself. And now we've made it almost to Luxembourg City, just passing by the airport, and now you can see the train tracks where the train I would have taken would be. Luxembourg may be a small country with a population of just under 700,000 people, but they're definitely well connected between road, airport, rail, all that kind of stuff, and serving as a center for many different types of industry. This just happens to be the country with the largest GDP per capita in the entire world. So depending on your definition, you could say that we're entering the richest country in the world right now. Of course, in terms of total wealth, that would be the United States of America, but wealth distribution in Luxembourg is a different story. So, just an afternoon in Luxembourg City for me, but perhaps for you watching, it could also be a little bit of an example of what a country like the US, with all of its riches, could look like if they were just a bit more fairly distributed. So after getting a nice peek at Luxembourg City through the bus window, it was time to disembark and start exploring. Oh my god, somebody lost their gallon of tobacco. But this does actually bring up a good point about Luxembourg. It's a bit of a West European or Western European tax haven, and the construction is in full swing over here as well. It's not just Germany apparently. But yeah, you'll also hear Luxembourg compared to a number of other European microstates that also happen to be wealthy for the most part. Think your Monacos, your Liechtensteins, your San Marinos, and some people have even been known to refer to Luxembourg as the Gibraltar of the North. There is another reason for that. Not sure if I exactly agree, but well, I'm here in Luxembourg City now, so let's go around and find out what it's like here. Luxembourg Central Station. And over this way, it looks like there should be some interesting stuff to check out. And my plan is later to go onwards to France. And unfortunately, it looks like there's going to be a replacement bus for that one too. But anyway, this is the train station. The bus stop was just right over there that I got off at. And it looks like, according to this, yeah, the replacement bus is going to be the other way somewhere that I'll have to find. But this is what the central station here in Luxembourg would look like if you were able to take a train. And it does look like there are trains operating. I just don't know where they're going to or coming from. No, okay, it looks like there's quite a few different options. It just happens to be that where I'm headed in France and where I'm coming from today in Germany don't have train service right now. So the initial area, right, when you walk out of the station isn't the most beautiful part of the city for sure. Any basic research online will show you that, but here is the Avenue de la Gare, the Gare being the station, and when you walk down it just a few blocks, you get to a much prettier, probably prettier part of the town. But first, a fire truck. I think I'm gonna be deaf for like a few months. Anyway, just crossing the street to the bridge was enough to confirm that we were entering a prettier part of town. Sure, beauty's definitely subjective, but I suspect you'll agree. And I guess things are quite compact if you live over here in Luxembourg City or right around it. The airport's just over that way. You can see that plane just took off, and that's a Lux airplane. Lux Air being the national carrier of Luxembourg. Also, by the way, in the backdrop there, you can see train tracks that would lead to the main train station. But this bridge that connects the train station back the way behind me with this other part of the city is really quite high up. But it does look pretty cool up here too. So, just right as you cross the bridge, the first thing I've come across, and mind you, I didn't plan to come this way even, I just had the general idea of going over to this area with a lot of nice old buildings, is this World War II monument. This is commemorating the sacrifices made by the Luxembourgish armed troops during World War II, and it seems to touch a little bit on conflicts that occurred afterwards, though I'm not 100% familiar. Right off next to the monument, though, even more cool views. It seems that Luxembourg is just all about cool mountainous views, and that's the bridge I was just walking on. It is pretty high. Around the bend, you get even more views of all of this very unique looking place. I don't even know what to say about it yet. But with Luxembourg being known for being like, well, kind of an expensive place, I guess. I don't know. I'd never been here before. And my wife and I thought we'd just bring some sandwiches for a small lunch in case everything just seemed completely insanely overpriced. But actually, at least so far, on that short walk from the train station to this beautiful lookout point over here, I noticed that you could get food for like under €5 here. Like a hamburger at Burger King, at least on special, was like €3. So I don't know if it's actually that expensive, like, you know, Liechtenstein, Switzerland, Monaco prices, or maybe just a little bit more than the neighboring countries. I mean, food in Germany and food in France often can be pretty cheap. Set. Let's go see what they've got in Luxembourg now that I've eaten my lunch. Looks like it's raining now. Gonna have to wait a second. Okay, the coast is clear. And as I understand it, in this part of the city, you basically have the high part, the Ville Haute, and then the low part. It's labeled here like Corniche. If you were to go down that way, you get to another neighborhood that's down the hill on the small river. Now that it's not only stopped raining, but started being very sunny, we're gonna start by exploring the higher part of the city over here. This street over here is pretty nice. Instead of the more typical like umbrellas that you'll find on streets, they've got lanterns. And I don't know if it's directly connected, but here you've got the Rainbow Center, the LGBTIQ+ Center for Queer Culture. This whole area is UNESCO protected, by the way. And that building right there is kind of a visitor center, but the main thing that it is the City Museum. The weather's so nice outside, though. I think I'm gonna stay outside today. And I've just made my way a little bit further up the hill now. Well, I mean, really just a little bit further, one block. I was just down that way. And this is the Palais Grand Ducal, or the Grand Duke's Palace. Like every country in the European Union, Luxembourg is, of course, a democratic country, but they also have this heritage of royalty, thus the Grand Duke, something similar to what you might find like, you know, the king or the queen in England, that kind of stuff. It seems like that was a favorite among the tour groups here. Let's go a little further. And one very notable thing here in Luxembourg is that there is a language, Luxembourgish, that is still spoken. It's just not the most spoken language. That's French, that you see above. Rue du Marché aux Herbes. And then below you've got Krautmarkt, which sounds kind of like Kräutermarkt in German, or I guess something like Krautmarkt in both Dutch and Flemish. And all the time, planes seem to be flying over this part of Luxembourg. Again, over here, Grand Rue, the main avenue street, Großgasse, like Große Gasse in German, Schicke Isgasse, Rue du Nord, etc. And well, I've already eaten, but as for food, this seems to be perhaps a foodie street. There's a lot of different options here, and everywhere in between, at least on this street, seems to be just a ton of different businesses. Kind of a mix of upmarket like jewelry, watch, clothing shops, and then Uniqlo. Water's for free. C'est bon, ça? But besides water and public transport, it doesn't seem like there's much else for free around here. This area definitely has a certain vibe of like a place where the rich might kind of come to play. A little bit tiring to walk around with this huge backpack here up and down, but worth it. But I couldn't come here and not at least sample one local business, so I searched out my very favorite thing, coffee. Ended up at this nice little coffee shop on a side street over here. It also happened to not only have a variety of Greek pastries and stuff like that, but when I started to ask about them and said one word in Greek, they just gave me one for free. This is the carioca. Damn, it's like really good. So a nice coffee, some Greek sweets, a little bit of shopping, and now I've got about an hour for a little bit more checking out of Luxembourg City. And I've got to say, one really nice thing about this place is that I know that at any time I can just hop on the public transport and pay exactly €0 to get back to the main station and head onwards to France. So we'll get a nice look at what absolutely free public transport looks like. But first, a little bit more of Luxembourg City to explore. And just down this way is quite the nice plaza with fountains that pop on and off. And by the way, I am just doing a really big circle. That's the Grand Duke's Palace that I walked by earlier. And as we were walking around, we've just realized that the Casemates Bock is actually just about to close. And that was one of the kind of checklist things to see here in Luxembourg, but luckily it is just down this way, so we're going to see if we can at least give it a short looking at or something, find out something about it. After all, it's one of the top attractions here in Luxembourg, but honestly, so far, everything that I've seen in the city is just so beautiful. And I've really gotten it all wrong. It's not Bock. I don't even know what that would mean. It's Casemates du Bock. Probably pronounced differently since French would be the main language, or at least Luxembourgish. But if you've ever been to Gibraltar or seen my video about Gibraltar, which you should maybe watch after this one if you're interested in Gibraltar, there's a square named Casemates Square there. But that's quite the nice view here, isn't it? Okay, thank you. Aha. But what do you know? I had thought that it's a little closer to 5 p.m. than it is. And in fact, we have about 45 minutes before then, which is more than enough time to explore the Bock Casemates. So basically, as it was explained to me, Casemates is a Greek mythological character. I didn't even know that, even though I visited Gibraltar. But in short, there are 2 labyrinth-type places like this referred to as Bocks here in Luxembourg. This is clearly one of them. So, with kind of limited time, but still enough, let's have a walk around and see what there is here. Down into the abyss. Okay, fine. One last glimpse of this view. So this place, the Bock Casemates, or the Casemates du Bock, is what remains of a subterranean defense system made up of kilometers of tunnels. It was initially carved under Spanish rule in the 17th century and has been extended since then. This is quite the labyrinth down here, carved out of rock. What do you think's down there? I don't know. Looks like perhaps it might have been used as a well at one point. Let me see if I can show you a little better how deep this thing goes. Echo! And just walking down here is a really cool experience because no matter what time of day it is, it's very, very dark in here, but then you can see, you get these little views out from this natural feeling carved into rock grotto type place. And in the distance there, I forgot to point it out earlier, there is an elevator, you see. From what I can tell, there are quite a few of those around Luxembourg City, just because it's quite hilly and it makes it easier for people to get up and down the hills. And off to one side here, the tunnels get a little bit smaller. Kind of reminds me of walking around in the tunnels in Cappadocia. Would I personally recommend bringing a 40-liter backpack with you here? Probably not, but it seems pretty doable so far. Spider webs. but that's really off at the very side of this thing, so back down these stairs and all the way to the other end of the Bock Casemates. It can definitely get a little bit claustrophobic when there's people walking on both sides, and you can see it's actually closed here now. So I must have come just right on time. And if you really wanted to just rush through and see the whole place once, you could probably do it in like 15, maximum 20 minutes. In fact, the ticket seller recommended 30 minutes. So I guess if you go really slow or want to spend a little bit of extra time on one part of it, then 30 minutes. 45 is more than enough, and this is quite photogenic here. And off to the side here, you've got another truly beautiful view. So over there, way in the distance, you can see those shiny, more modern looking buildings. That's the other side of the bridge that I walked from the Gare, or the main station, on over to here earlier today. And then a little bit beyond, on the other side of the valley, which is a little hard to see from here, was a park where I made a nice stop. Now, Luxembourg is not like a place nobody's ever heard of or anything like that. And it's right in the heart of Western Europe. But compared to what I knew about it before I came here and just spent a couple of hours, to what I know and have seen now here, this little country, or at least the capital of it, has quite a lot to check out. But before we go test out their free public transport here in Luxembourg, one last stop within the Bock Casemates. Some kind of very, very small staircase. Let's see what's down here. Hey, thanks. And that seems to be about it. This little room with some very small views of what we had bigger views of earlier. I'm not gonna lie, that was a little bit too much effort for that small room with its views. Time to go back up though. You can also go further down and further up, but I think that's enough for me today. So, okay. That's better for me. Can I can connect with this actually? Maybe, let's see if I... Thanks. I will say though, if you just show up here for a few hours like me, to Luxembourg City that is, this thing does cost 10 euros to enter. And if you want great views, well, the best of best can be found at higher points. So make your choice wisely, I suppose. 10 euros could also get you a nice meal or a couple of coffees. And for 0 euros, you can get what's arguably the best view of Luxembourg City. Some call this the most beautiful balcony of Europe. Where I'm standing is the Chemin de la Corniche, or in English, something roughly like path on the cliff. If you remember the Corniche sign that we saw earlier while walking around, it was actually referring to this place. In a lot of Arabic-speaking countries, I tend to notice that the word Corniche will often describe a path or road directly in front of the coast. So earlier that had me thinking that it was some kind of path directly down by the river, but no, it's this. Even better. How many out of 10 would you give Luxembourg City? 6, 7, 8. I'd say probably about 8.5. 9. So let's see. What's free public transport like? Bus number 13 should take us pretty close to the main station. Well, it's pretty much what I would have expected. It's a bus. It's pretty clean. And there's some nice views over there off the bridge. So free public transport clearly just makes Luxembourg even better, but as I got off the bus, the renewed reality of my cancelled train to France became top priority. We soon figured out that the best way to get over to France was to take another free bus to the nearby town of Bettenberg and catch a train from there. This second bus ride was a little different. It felt more like a commuter bus and was a bit fuller, but again it was clean and got us to our destination quickly. But yeah, here I am, now well into the country of France. Not on free public transport anymore. But, wow, Luxembourg City really surprised me today. That's a pretty beautiful place to visit. Not that France is not beautiful, I mean, look at that river. But I guess we could say it was just even a little bit better than I thought it might be. So, go yourself, check out Luxembourg, definitely. I'll definitely be returning too. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. And right now I am just starting off my world tour, flying all the way around the world, starting and ending in Germany where I live of course, but this is just one of dozens and dozens of stops all around the world. So many videos to come between on the road vlogs like this, and then maybe slightly more practical videos about, you know, how I'm doing it all with just a carry-on bag, and lots of juicy details as to how my wife and I are able to afford 2 months traveling around the world with a very, very small budget. So make sure to subscribe for all that kind of stuff. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.